And for this week's show, I'm joined by the medical director of Trinitas Comprehensive Sleep Disorder Center, Dr. Vipin Garg. Dr. Garg is a specialist in internal medicine, pulmonary medicine, and critical care. Of course, sleep medicine. He's treated adult and pediatric patients at centers locations in Elizabeth and Homewood Suites by Hilton in Cranford for over the past 10 years. And with him, I am joined also by Kathy Salamone, who is the Director of Marketing and Communications at Trinitas, and who happens to be his patient and will share some of her experience. Dr. Garg, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor.
Kathy, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, Mr.
First of all,
Mayor.
I didn't know you were a patient until they gave me the notes here.
Okay.
Well, thanks for letting us share that. But,
Sure.
Dr. Garg, why don't we start with you first? What sleep problems that are harmful to someone's health? What are they in general?
Well, the people don't realize that we spend quite a bit of time in sleep. Like if you look at, we're supposed to have 7 to 8 hours sleep. So we spend like 1/3 of our lifetime in sleep. And a lot of things happen in sleep. It could be lack of oxygen, lack of getting enough air. Sometimes there is a hormonal disruptions. So all these problems can add up and can be a significant medical problem.
What are the most common sleep disorders?
I'll say the most common problem in adults is that they are not getting enough air. Like snoring, for example, is very common, and people often sort of ignore it, thinking it's a part and parcel of sleep. But in many instances, snoring can be the sign that patient is not getting enough air, and in fact may mean that the oxygen level is low at the time when patient is snoring. And when the oxygen level is low, it can affect the heart, brain, and every other organ. And the other sleep problem which we see is a restlessness of legs. Some people just can't stay still. They're moving a lot. I mean, everybody moves a little bit in sleep, but if somebody's moving legs a lot, it could be a sleep problem. Narcolepsy, that people just fall asleep in the daytime during conversations, the worst cases. Insomnia, very common problem in adults. As we get older, we see more and more people have difficult time falling asleep, staying asleep, or they wake up too early, they don't know what to do. So there are very many problems.
So sitting at a lecture or sitting in church and falling asleep, that wouldn't be considered what you just talked about, would it? Falling asleep just during the day?
It will be.
The people who doze off in church, they're okay, right?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Maybe not with God.
It could be unmasking of your problem. Like for example, if you're not getting enough sleep, you tend to be sleep deprived during the daytime. Now, obviously, if you're doing something where your attention is required, you're gonna force yourself to stay awake. But like church or lecture, or then wherever the stimulus is less, you tend to fall asleep. And sometimes it can be a sign. Like for example, if there are 100 people, only 5 people fall asleep, then you know there is a problem.
Child's behavior and school performance. Does poor sleep affect their grades or their study habits?
I think it definitely does. I mean, we have seen, we have a lot of studies come out that poor sleep affect child behavior directly. Not only in children that they can be sort of sleepy in the class or slow, they sometimes can be hyperactive. And
it could be the reverse.
It could be the reverse.
Oh.
They can be hard to control. They can have a lack of attention in school. Not only school, even at home. I mean, they just don't listen to teacher or parents, or they can't focus. And we have many children who were diagnosed with ADHD but taking the medication. We had tested and they had sleep disorder. We took care of that and they came off the medicine. So sleep, like especially children need more sleep than adults, and if they are not getting enough sleep, it can lead to different problems.
So Dr. Garg, how many hours sleep should adults have? Does that vary?
I'll say it varies from one individual to the other, but on average, I'll say between 7 to 8 hours is a fair rough estimate. But everybody sleep need varies, just like need for other things.
I haven't had 7, 8 hours sleep in months. I mean, I'm usually 5 or 6 hours, so I have to work on getting my 7 or 8. But
well, first of all, it varies. The other thing is we are like 24/7 society. Everybody is just pushing. People watch TV, people do work late night, and then they set up alarms in the morning. But we don't realize sometimes you catch up on your sleep on the weekend. Like I ask so many patients, they say the same thing. I sleep 5-6 hours, but then I ask what time you get up on the weekend, and sometimes
Can you catch up on sleep, or is that a misnomer? Is that a myth?
you can catch up on sleep, but it takes a little bit of time. It may take 3-4 days before you can catch up on sleep. And the issue is when you're waiting to catch up on sleep, when you're driving, you can still have something we call micro sleep. You can have sleep like for 1 second or 5 seconds. You may not even realize it, and that can pose danger.
So if that's the average of 70, how many for a child?
I'll say teenagers maybe 9 to 10 hours, and younger children even more, like 10, 12 hours of sleep.
So Kathy, how did you wind up in Dr. Garg's office?
Well, my husband had been complaining about me snoring for years, and I just thought he was making it up because I never heard myself snoring. But he would tap on the bed to wake me up, and then I would react like that, gasping for air. So I thought, gee, this looks like it's something I should look into. And then not too long before I actually went to be evaluated, I had to have an emergency endoscopy because I woke up, no, it was in the evening or I forget what time, sorry, but I felt like I had something caught in my throat. And we raced to the emergency room, and I ended up having this endoscopy done. And they found that my esophagus was all inflamed. And apparently it was because of this severe snoring that I had been experiencing for so very long. So the other key ingredient in this was that, as Dr. Garg mentioned, I had such extreme fatigue. I would hit 3 o'clock in the afternoon and hit the valley of fatigue, as they used to say years ago, and I could barely keep my eyes open. And I live an hour away from Elizabeth, so I have to contend with a lot of travel, and it used to just drain me to get home safely after a full day of work. So it was a series of a number of different things that came to play, and it suddenly became very important for me to look into having a sleep study done.
So when Kathy comes to your office, what do you do?
Well, we evaluate, like she told her symptoms, then we examined her, in terms of that the oropharynx is a little bit crowded, that could be the issue, and with her history, so typical of somebody who has snoring and sleep apnea. So then we order a sleep study where she'll spend a night in the sleep center. They will make sure, monitor her breathing throughout the night. They'll monitor the snoring. They'll monitor the oxygen level. They'll monitor her heart rate, any excessive limb movements. We also monitor what kind of sleep she is, and because we have different stages of sleep. I mean, you could be asleep 7-8 hours, and it's important what kind of stage of sleep you're getting. I mean, there's a deep sleep, there's a REM sleep. You could be in superficial sleep.
I remember that from biology, REM sleep.
REM sleep, exactly. So all the stages of sleep are important, especially the deep one and REM one. And then we need to have a good estimate of what kind of sleep the patient is getting before fixing the problem. So that's what I did. I ordered a sleep study for her, and then she went for sleep.
Do you videotape a sleep study?
We do, because it's very important for us to see how the patient moves or has any limb movements. Occasionally we see people have seizures during sleep, and they never have seizures in the daytime, and then because seizures are more prone to occur in sleep than in daytime, people don't realize that, and then the only way to know that is have the video.
So a seizure in the sleep is serious, or?
It has the same implication as a seizure having in the daytime. It just the threshold to have seizure is low during sleep, so it's easy to catch. Like if you go to a neurologist and he thinks you have a seizure, first he may do EEG just like in daytime, but if they can't find anything, often they recommend EEG during sleep, which we do it anyway. We do the EEG during sleep. So video is important from multiple points of view.
Right.
So Kathy, what was it like to go into a sleep center all hooked up with a whole bunch of tubes, I guess, and, and a video camera watching you sleep? Were you a little nervous to begin with that in the first place?
No, not at all, not at all. And part of the reason why I was not nervous was because the staff members at the sleep center are so courteous and professional. They explain everything so that they reduce the amount of anxiety that you might experience. there, you are outfitted with monitors that take care of the data in terms of your heart rate and evaluate your breathing, and also, in a sense, monitor the sleep patterns and see what's going on throughout your whole system. And but nothing hurts. Nothing hurts at all. And these particular sleep centers, the one at the main campus in Elizabeth as well as the one out in Cranford, are just like being at home in your own bedroom, really. And
Yeah, we have TV there.
Yeah,
We have,
yeah.
Attached
you have your own room and
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, your own
exactly,
room,
exactly.
right. And then the people who are actually compiling the data are in a separate room, and they're observing you on a screen, and they're
You ever get any
watching-
sleepwalkers, Doc?
We have sleepwalkers, and most of the time these people just grow out of it. But
grow
what
out of
we
it.
have seen that sleepwalking could be associated with many other sleep disorders. In itself, it may not be a serious disorder unless somebody has accident, injury.
Does drinking or alcohol play a role in sleeping problems?
Or definitely it plays a big role.
Smoking?
The alcohol more than the smoking,
Right.
because first of all, what it happens is it relaxes the muscle too much, so you may not get enough air as you would. And then second thing is, people think by drinking alcohol they can sleep better, like many people actually admit to me. But what happens is alcohol gets metabolized from your body, let's say within 3-4 hours, and then there is actually withdrawal that makes your sleep very poor. And then they wake up or they have poor sleep. So overall, you're still not refreshed the next day. So yes, to some degree, it does make you sleep fast, but it does not improve the quality of sleep. In fact, it makes it worse.
Right.
Now, if you had to evaluate a child, what would you recommend? Is obesity an issue with a child?
Yeah, I mean, the obesity is a risk factor for snoring, sleep apnea, not getting enough air. We see in children, they have like large tonsils, adenoids that further compromise the amount of air they're getting during sleep. So in children, we do get a sleep study to see if they need any surgery or any other treatment modality to fix their sleep problem. Because other interesting thing is, sleep problems can lead to obesity. If you're not getting enough sleep, that can itself lead to weight gain because your metabolism could be slow, and obesity can lead to sleep problems. So it's a vicious cycle, and sometimes you have to sort of break
So,
it.
Kathy, in your case, was medicine prescribed?
No.
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 It was just a matter
No,
of.
just I was outfitted with a CPAP machine,
Okay.
which I sleep with every night.
You do.
And if there have been a couple times when I
Comfortable, or you had to get used to
Well,
it?
you have to get used to it.
Right.
It's something you have to get used to, and it took me, I guess, about 3 months, but I would never sleep without it now because
And just when we wrap up here, Kathy,
Yeah.
how can parents or how can other people get more information? Do they go through your office as a director of marketing?
No, they would get information from the sleep center. And if I might just take a moment to share this information, there's going to be an event coming up on Thursday, March 7th, between 6:30 and 8 p.m. Dr. Garg will be speaking. It's in connection with National Sleep Awareness Week, and the subject of the event is obesity, sleep disorders, and children. It's going to be happening at our core building, the Trinitas Core Building, which is located at 1164 Elizabeth Avenue near Broad Street in Midtown. And it's a program that we hope will be helpful to parents, teachers, school nurses, and counselors. There's free parking, and there's going to be light refreshments that evening. And if people want to attend, they can call the following number, 908-994-8694.
Thank you. Kathy,
Thank you.
you, Dr. Garg, for taking the time to be on
Thank
the
you.
show.
Thank you
We
for having
appreciate
us.
the information. And if any of our viewers want more information on sleep orders or to schedule a sleep study, you can call that number that Kathy just gave you, 994-8694, to reach the Trinitas Comprehensive Sleep Disorder Center, or go to the website, www.njsleepdisorderscenter.com. Please stay with us. We'll be back with more on our second half of Our City.